Hi everyone, it's Shari Carroll for SimonsStamp.com, and I have a card idea using a really new, unique stamp set that we've collaborated with from W+9. The stamps are designed to be stacked and layered together, and there are some solid images and some more outline images, so I'll kind of point out a few of the solid images. With those, I would stamp my lighter inks first, and then I would add some of the other elements on top with darker ink. I've decided I want a watercolor look, so I'm starting off with my ink cubes from Tim Holtz Distress Inks, and this first one is Spiced Marmalade, and I'm going to go ahead and spray this with a little bit of water, just enough to see that ink kind of bead up, and then I'll wipe around the edges a little bit with my paper towel just to clean this up a little bit. I don't want to get any splatter anywhere else on my card, so I'll go ahead and clean this up first. Once I'm ready, I'm going to go ahead and position this onto my card. I'm going to do some clusters first, and the colors that I'll be working with are some yellows, pinks, and some oranges. So once I have that stamped, I can go ahead and wipe off my ink from the stamp, and then I can get ready to move on to another color. I'm trying to decide if I want to do my bases first, and I think I will. So the next color I'm choosing is Worn Lipstick, and I'll do the same thing. I'll go ahead and ink that up and then spray this with water. I need to mention that I'm also working on the Tim Holtz watercolor paper, and I like to use the smooth side. So back to what I'm doing, I have cleaned that up a little bit, and now I'm going to start arranging my little cluster. One of the fun things about this technique is that you can see through the clear stamp when your ink really makes contact with the paper. And then once it's dry, it gives this really beautiful watercolor look. I've moved on to a little bit smaller image, and I'm using my Scattered Straw ink cube here, and I've done the same thing. I've gotten it wet with my spray mister. And the next step that I want to do is to shoot this a little bit with my heat tool just to get these to dry. And this only takes a second, and you can see where the more liquid ink colored areas are. Those will give me a little bit darker color once they're completely dry. On my pink flower, I have stamped with Festive Berries, and at this point I'm not getting the stamp wet. I'm just going to go ahead and ink it up and then stamp right over. On my orange flower, I'm actually going tone on tone, and once again I'm using the Spiced Marmalade, and I'm giving that a really good press, and you can see the dual tone on tone, which gives me a really nice flower. The top color that I'm using for my yellow flower is Mustard Seed, and so I've inked that up, and again I'm giving this a really good press, and now I have a dual tone for that. Next, I am stamping some leaves, and I'm using one of the smaller sets of leaves and my peeled paint ink, and again I've just used my ink and my spray bottle, and I'm kind of blotting those off so they have a little bit lighter look so they don't dominate the arrangement. I thought I would experiment a little bit with my white pigment ink from Simons Stamp. So I'm using an even more detailed stamp that goes in the center of these flowers. And this is giving me a really fun look, like there's highlights on the flowers. I'm adding a few more pink flowers, and I've started off with the Spun Sugar, and the next color I've added on top of that is Worn Lipstick, which is giving me a really nice light pink flower. I did stamp my greeting amongst the flowers there, and I used the black archival ink. I've added some frosted lace stickles into my flowers just to give them a little bit of sparkle, and I'll go ahead and hold this up so you can see those. So you can kind of see the spiral shape that's taken on the inside. I've used some newsprint type paper, and I've put that to the left side, and then I put that onto a note card. Here's an up-close look at my flowers with the glitter and all the layers, and then my message. And lastly, I've added a few sequins to finish off my arrangement. I hope I've given you some inspiration on how to use the Many Thanks Flower Stamp Set from Simons Stamp and W+9. And as always, thanks for watching.